How do you pronounce it?
Rouse Zachary.
I'm watching too much Saved by the Bell. I saw Saved by the Bell this morning, all right? And I'm thinking of Zach Morris, Rousarek. But
it was Rousarek. It's how it's pronounced.
Rousarek.
Not Rouse Zachary Morris. Mr.
Zachary Morris. You know what? I think some of the people who do alters should just draw a picture of Zach Morris on that card. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Rudy Briksza. I can't pronounce his last name. It's too tough.
I just go with Rudy B.
Rudy B. Why does everybody have an Angry Birds hat? Is Angry Birds the new thing now?
And you're from around here, not me.
I don't know. People in New Jersey.
I live in Seattle, man. We don't have any Angry Birds hats out there.
People in New Jersey normally don't really wear Angry Birds hats, but so far we have two competitors, and it's two different hats too. One was kind of like a beanie ski hat, so we know they just didn't, give each other the hats and stuff. So we'll see. And it's not Angry Birds. It's Perry from. Do you know where this guy's from?
No.
I don't know.
No.
It's not. It looks like an Angry Birds hat.
It's Perry the Platypus from Phineas and Ferb.
I'm just embarrassed now, but I don't know. I don't even know if that's a cartoon show.
Do you just want to keep calling it Angry Birds hat?
Yeah, let's call it Angry Birds.
Okay.
All right, so everybody at home, everybody's wearing an Angry Birds hat.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, so Costa is on the left, and Costa came down from Boston for this. He's playing Dance Slash.
How long's the drive there?
Boston, he probably drove about 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wants it.
So let's see. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Two new decks, right? Band Flash and Rug with some updates. So we'll see how good the new Planeswalker is. We'll see how many flips Rudy could win. I feel as he's flipping, we're going to be chanting Rudy.
Absolutely.
Everybody at home too. Yeah. Like the only way he could win if he takes all 5 turns.
Rudy's going to play a Stomping Grounds untapped and just pass the turn back. So no Farsi here, but representing maybe a Syncopate or some other counter magic here. Costa's going to untap. He's going to draw. He draws Augur of Bolas for the turn. Yeah. Moves a Glacial Fortress forward. I saw Rudy put an Izzet forward. Maybe he's thinking he might have to Izzet something. Maybe he's going to cycle. I don't think so. It's usually pretty bad just to use the Faithless Looting type effect with the Izzet. So there's an Augur of Bolas. I'm kind of surprised Costa played his land first. Maybe that's the only land he plays. Normally you could play Augur first. Oh, I guess he wants to play on Syncopate? Maybe
Syncopate.
Okay. Resolve, as you see.
So
Augur Bolas not going to put 3 cards to the bottom for once, as it normally does here at SCG Live. Finds a Dissipate and passes the turn back.
And Dissipate's a pretty good one to find. So Rudy right now untaps. He's going to play looks like a Stomping Ground. This time he's not going to pay any life. I guess that makes sense because why would Rudy pay 2 life? Costa's thinking, probably a Syncopate. So
I think Costa's kind of established that he's willing to play around Syncopate, right? By his play last turn.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, do you care if your Augur runs into a Syncopate this early?
Maybe,
right? Maybe try to make that Syncopate dead for the entire game.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, Costa's an excellent player. Has a Pro Tour top 8 not too long ago, a little over a year ago, losing to none other than John Finkel. So if you're losing top 8, it's okay to lose to John Finkel.
Not so bad.
Yeah, not so bad, right?
And if your Augur Bolas is going to hit,
hit an Advent of the Worm.
Might as well hit an Advent of the Worm, too.
Yeah, so
there's a breeding pool for Matt after he does find a 5/5 instant speed and passes back. Here is a Izzet Charm from Rudy. He's going to use the draw 2, discard 2 mode. Garrett, Primal Hunter, and Nizzian Mortars the cards.
I think he was looking for lands, and he didn't hit any so far.
I don't think he hit any either.
So hopefully the top card of his deck is a land. If not, it's going to be really bad for him. In these kind of like control matchups, both decks are not pure control, but even in these types of matchups, you really want to hit all your land drops.
Yeah, I mean, and as you said, they're not pure control decks, but as usual, in these kind of mid-rangey, control-ish type decks, as these are certainly not aggressive decks, the first one who misses their land drop is oftentimes the one who ends up losing the game.
Exactly. All right, so Rudy ends up discarding a Yeva. I would think maybe you would want a Yeva, especially if that's your only one. There it is.
All right. Rousarek finally here.
Finally here. All right, so he's going to untap his breeding pool, and he's going to pass the turn.
It's time to see right now. Is it the real deal?
I don't know. We'll see.
I want to know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Costa's going to go after it with both his Augurs, so he's going to be able to, keep it in check, keep it away from the ultimate ability, and just tapping and untapping something isn't really the best.
Yeah. There's a Temple Garden untapped from Costa. We're going to pass the turn back, threatening a bevy of things right now. The Dissipate that was seen from the first Augur, the Advent of the Worm that was seen from the second one, and you're probably looking at the deck list right now wondering how many unsummons Matt's playing. Yeah.
That's exactly.
I saw you reach immediately, and the number is 3.
Yeah, wow. I really like Costa's deck. Playing 3 unsummons and playing all these flash cards. I like Costa's style here. And I mean, Costa's in great shape this game.
He's certainly doing fine. I mean, both augers hitting is step one, but again, you take a look at Matt's deck list, and his deck is built around auger bullets being able to hit. He has 4, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14.
I bet you guys are at 24.
Yeah, he's over 25 spells in his deck to go along with 4 Snapcasters, 2 Augur Boluses, and 2 Restoration Angels. So, you know, you don't find any Planeswalkers here. He's trying to close games out with Snapcaster, with Restoration Angel, but mostly his deck is built around Advent of the Worm winning the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Augur with Advent of the Worm it's pretty much now Augur is finding you an instant speed creature. Augur finds you something better than Restoration Angel a lot of the times. Just Advent of the Worm will be a 5/5 trampler and put a lot of pressure on your opponents. Your opponent wants to tap out for a Planeswalker, you know, drop a Garruk, make a guy, sure, you play Advent of the Worm, and they're going to be in trouble. So this is interesting here. We'll see if this Huntmaster resolves or not. And it's going to resolve. Costa did have a Dissipate, and Rudy knew that Costa had a Dissipate because the Augur found Dissipate, the first Augur found Dissipate. So I guess Costa just wants to play Advent of the Worm, and he wants to maybe unsummon the token.
Yeah, I think Costa basically feels like, you know, he has this idea that, you know, Rudy's kind of stuck on mana right now. I can probably find a better spot to find with that Dissipate, and the most important thing for me to be doing right now is resolving Advent of the Worm.
Okay.
As you're going to see Ralzeric -2 try to Lightning Bolt that Augur Bola.
Yeah, but Costa's happy about that because Costa's going to play a Restoration Angel, blink it out, and he's going to dig 3 cards deeper. And it's going to see, oh, another Unsummon and a Sphinx's Revelation?
Yeah.
Wow, I think he wants that. Maybe he just wants another Unsummon the way this game is going.
So I think it's kind of interesting here where, you know, he has an Unsummon in his hand, and I don't think he wants to let Rudy know that he has Unsummon in his deck. So
really?
by revealing one, because he hasn't revealed the one that's in his hand, and by maybe concealing that information and takes the Revelation, he's you know, a little bit happier with that. He does end up taking the Unsummon.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if he doesn't show that Unsummon, takes the Revelation, and then the Unsummon that he's going to end up casting is going to be like a complete blowout. But maybe that's a little over the top thinking.
Yeah, I understand what you're thinking, but I think just having another Unsummon, especially given his hand of Advent of the Worm, Dissipate, Unsummon, it's just so much pressure, so much tempo Costa has. I think this game is heavily in Costa's favor.
Yeah, I think things are very much in his favor here. Restoration Angel going to take care of that Wolf token. Advent of the, I think this Ralzeric is going to take care of here, and Advent of the Worm still at the ready here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Costa wants to unsummon in his turn because he does not want the Huntmaster to flip. So you might think, oh, like, who cares about the Wolf? Well, that's the reason. So Restoration Angel is going to go at Rudy. The 2 Augurs will go at the Planeswalker. And I think Costa will probably just pass a turn holding up Dissipate, holding up Advent of the Worm, holding up Snapcaster Mage, and holding up another Unsummon. So I would not want to be playing against Costa right now.
There are just a few options here.
Yeah, and if I was playing against Costa, I would want like an uncounterable Sire of Insanity, which wouldn't even do much because he has Unsummon, like an uncounterable Reckless Return or something.
You see Rudy, you know, he tapped the 2 mana there for the Mythium Mortars that's in his hand. And, you know, maybe this is part of the reason that Costa takes the Unsummon, right? Like, you know, he's able to use the first one pretty judiciously.
Sure.
Use it however he wants to, and the second one ends up being a blowout because Unsummon is just so good.
Such a blowout. He's going to unsummon his Restoration Angel, replay Angel, and get more cards off the Augur.
Yeah. He's going to take the opportunity to resolve Advent of the Worm first.
Okay.
Which I'm fine with, because he resolves this through a Syncopate. If this is Syncopate for 1, he says, all right, resolve this, which is important, and then unsummon.
Yeah, I guess because of what happened on turn 2. Now just think back. Rudy paid 2 life, so I think Costa still puts on the Syncopate. So if Costa went for the play of unsummon my Restoration Angel, try to cast it, he walks to the Syncopate. So look at Costa, really advanced thinking, really, you know, holding on to his reads. Although Rudy doesn't have the Syncopate, it's still, I would say, pretty much correct for Costa to play this way.
And he's certainly fine with
playing a 5/5.
Yeah, he just plays the 5/5. He doesn't unsummon, draws another Advent of the Worm, and he's just like, okay, that's fine if you want to do that. And so here comes the token.
Maybe Advent of the Worm is the real deal. Maybe that's going to be like the next voice of Resurgence.
Well, I'll tell you this much: it's looking real good right now.
Yeah, it really is. Advent of the Worm seems sweet.
So the question with Advent of the Worm, right, is like, you know, it's a 4-mana 5/5, and so when you normally see a 4-mana 5/5, you know, be it Blastoderm, Calcidurum, Jajam, there's a million of 4-mana 5/5s at this point. Plague Sliver, Immori, whatever. You normally see those cards and you think of, all right, this is a card that goes in an aggressive deck.
Exactly.
We see this card being played in a much more controlling deck, in a Flash type deck, and it's looking very, very good right now.
Yeah. This banned Flash deck seems sweet.
Yeah.
How many Sphinx's Revelations? 3?
He has 3 copies of that card in his deck. I mean, one of the things for Bant was it always had like this difficulty closing out the game. And, you know, we saw Reed Duke win that Invitational with the Bant control deck that actually had to close out the game with an Overrun Tomb and a Thaliodron Yarn.
And you know what else? Just think about it. What land did Reed have to play in his deck? It was blue-green to activate.
Yeah. You have to play the Alchemist Refuge. Yeah. His cards flash.
Exactly, but now he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Now you just play Avid on the Worm, which is just way better.
And so here's a Garrett Primal Hunter, and again, we know that Costa does have a Dissipate in his hand, and you know this is, if you're Rudy, this has to be horrifying, right? Like, you've cast a Garrett Primal Hunter, a card that's very good against the control deck, and Costa's just like, that's fine.
Yeah, here's another Avid on the Worm.
Yeah, here's another 5/5 you can't beat that has Trample.
And I still have another Unsummon. Yeah.
Unsummon your Beast token.
And a Snapcaster Mage, and yeah, I mean, that's just game right there.
And I know that, as you're going to see a Snapcaster Mage here, it's going to bounce the
Rudy's
spells, and Rudy's just going to pack it up right now, as Matt Costa's going to be up a game. I know that, you know, Rug Flash is kind of a deck that's on the fringes. We saw Jeff Hooglin have a good weekend with it when we were in Milwaukee, and a couple top 16s to go along with his top 4. And, you know, he's written an article about it, so it's seen some success on the circuit. One of the things with that deck is it had a lot of trouble against the Resolve Thragtusk.
Okay.
Just because, you know, it's Thragtusk, it's 5 power.
Sure.
You know, his plan against that was I can just block it all day with Wolfere Avenger. That's great. One thing you can't block all day with Wolfere Avenger is a 5/5 Worm token with Trample.
Okay.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you were looking at Rug Flash moving forward, Adam of the Worm might be the death knell of that deck.
Yeah, and the thing is that, sure, Yeva and Adam in the Worm is not much of a difference. You know, +1/+1, Trample. Yeva has an advantage where you can play other creatures as Flash. But the whole thing is that you get to find Adam in the Worm with Augur and Bulls. So you're allowed to build your deck so much more smoothly, just make it more powerful, and Costa definitely took advantage of that. And we see this is something that Costa does on a regular basis, right? Every time a new set comes out, he looks for cards that he can improve on the type of deck that he wants to play.
Yep.
He's good with a Delver deck, he's good with Blue Red Flash, and now he moved to Bant Flash. And so far he's doing good, 2-0 up a game. So he might be, you know, I know it's early, but given the way Costa plays and how such a good Magic player he is, he might be in the top 8.
You know, Jerry Thompson wrote an article 2 weeks ago about being typecast.
Okay.
You know, he's known as playing blue, white, red in Standard, and then the Shardless Bug deck in Legacy. You know, he just always plays the same decks.
Okay.
Which is fine because it gives you the opportunity to always be, you know, well versed in the deck you're playing for a tournament.
Yeah.
At the same turn, if you ever watch Costa play, he's always playing a deck like this.
Yeah.
You know, a Delver deck, a Restoration Angel deck, a deck that plays at instant speed, has a lot of tricks, and lets him make a lot of decisions. And you know, you see this new take on a deck like this in Bant Flash. I would be scared playing against him playing this type of deck because he's so well versed in playing this kind of Magic.
Yeah. Well, how do you think Rudy could beat him? What do you think? We go to the sideboard. Rudy has Dispel. He definitely wants Dispel.
That's coming in.
Yeah. You know, like, okay, so you're going to go for Aberrant Worm. I have 1 mana, Dispel.
Yep.
Negate, same thing.
Yep.
All right, so he's going to bring in 2 negates. He's going to bring in Dispel. Ground Seal. What do you think?
It slows down Snapcaster Mage. You take a look at the rest of Matt's deck list here. It doesn't do a lot of things. It doesn't do a lot more other than that.
It's tough because, you know, Rudy also has Snapcaster Mage.
Yep.
And I think those Ground Seals are really there for, you know, Junk Reanimator.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he'll bring it in, maybe not. We'll see what happens. Sundering Growth.
No real targets here.
Nothing, right?
Nope.
I mean, he might think Costa's going to bring in like an Oblivion Ring or a Detention Sphere, but until he actually sees it, he's not going to worry about it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Acidic Slime, just way too slow.
Yeah, way too slow. I don't think you want to tap out on your main phase against this deck in the first place. And as we saw in that particular game, Costa can demonstrate if he wants that card to resolve or not. So
yeah, definitely. Another Cavern of Souls. I mean, Cavern's going to be good. He saw Dissipate. He saw, you know, he knows Costa's going to be playing a bunch of different counter spells. Then he has Rolling Tumbler, Pillar of Flames, Bonfire Dam, all that stuff. Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, and he has that 1 copy of Progenitor Mimic in his sideboard, which is the new 6-mana clone.
Sure.
And you know, again, just way too slow. Not really going to be great against this deck. For what you know Costa's deck does, I think it's just counterintuitive to bring it in.
Yeah, I mean that card's super powerful. For 6 mana, you think, oh, 6 mana clone, that's kind of expensive. But pretty much every turn, it's going to spit out a new copy of that card.
Yeah.
So it kind of works like Stolen Identity does, but you don't have to actually cipher to deal damage for the ability to happen.
It's kind of a clone and a card that if you guys are old school and remember from the old Ravnica Followed Footsteps, they kind of threw that together into 1 card. But at the end of the day, it still does cost a ton of mana. You have to tap out on your return to play it. So yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's mostly there for decks that have Angel Serenity.
Yeah.
Because you know you keep making more Angel Serenities, you're probably going to win that game.
Yeah.
So pretty much just going to bring in Dispel, a couple of Negates, Cavern of Souls, and maybe the Ground Seals. So what about Costa?
We look at Costa's sideboard here: 1 Silklash Spider, 2 Renounce the Guilds, a Dissipate, 2 copies of Dispel, Psychic Spiral, a Supreme Verdict, 1 Tristani, Celestia's Voice, 2 clones, and then 4 copies of a card we've talked about ad nauseum this weekend in Voice of Resurgence.
Okay.
I don't think Voice comes in this particular matchup. I could be wrong, however.
You know what? I really like Voice in the sideboard.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think it's a good weapon against control decks.
But against other decks, like you were saying, against Naya, it's just like
yeah.
Why? You know?
Now, you know, a card that I think we might see come in here almost certainly is Renounce the Guilds. Because of the cards that Rudy did play that last game, we saw a Ralzeric, which Renounce can take care of. We also saw Huntmaster, which Renounce can take care of. Now, will he board in both copies? Good question. We'll find that out. Dissipate, Dispel, cards that are good in your control mirror matches. I think we'll probably see at least the Dispel come in, which he has 2 copies of. And then the rest of the stuff's probably going to stay at home. The Spiral, the Supreme Verdict, the Tristani, and the 2 clones, those probably stay put, as he's still just on the same game plan of just, you know, resolving Advent of the Worms a bunch of the time, never putting the shields down on his own turn. Yeah,
I got a question. We saw the Planeswalker in action. We saw Ralzeric in action. Don't you think just Jace would have been better there?
Like Jace
Architect
the Mind Sculptor?
No. Well, Jace the Mind Sculptor, yes. All right. But just Jace Architect of Thought just would have been better there. If you saw Costa's creatures, he just had a couple of Augur Bolus. He had down the Restoration Angel. So it actually would have had an effect doing the -1/-0. And also, Jace would have immediately allowed Rudy to draw cards and get him out of the mana screw that he was in.
I think, given that situation, I think Jace would have been better. I think, given in the abstract of how we look at how that game would have played out, I don't think either card would have been good. Mostly because Advent of the Worm is, among other things, a Planeswalker killer.
Yeah, it really is.
Because it's so big at its mana cost that, you know, you can Jace, you can plus it, and it would have made sense for him to do that. But Advent of the Worm, I think if Costa were concerned about Jace Architect of Thought, he would have been able to deal with it.
Yeah. All right, so Rudy was on the mulligan this game, but a decent draw with a turn 2 Farseek.
Yeah, and he does have a Hinterland Harbor in his hand as well, so
he'll be able to get
some red mana.
Yeah, maybe like a Steam Vents. Yeah. All right, that's exactly what he does, and he passes the turn. And Costa plays a Glacial Fortress, so Costa has 2 mana. He's probably gonna pass the turn. He'll, you know, he doesn't really play too many spells on his turn.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
This is just this is how Costa loves to play Magic.
He does. He wants to play Magic on your turn.
Yeah, he loves to play Magic on his opponent's turn, hates to tap out on his own turn, but he will if he needs to.
Yep. And he just passes the turn.
And you see his hand here with Think Twice, with Dissipate, also has a card that has 2 ups in his deck, and he has 2 copies of Rewind.
Okay, so if I saw correctly, Rudy just drew a Bonfire.
Okay.
Why do you want Bonfire in against Costa's deck?
Yeah, I think that's a misstep. Having that card in against his deck is just too... It's hoping that things go right too much.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but it really does look like a Bonfire. Can you see it all?
I didn't get a good look at it.
Right.
He's moving those cards around quick. As Costa's going to flashback Think Twice here, make sure that Huntmaster doesn't flip into Ravager and just pass the turn back. Looks like I think he might have to discard one.
Yeah, he will have to discard.
So this discards Dissipate.
All right, so Huntmaster doing some work here. There's a Yeva. I think I saw an Acidic Slime too, unless I'm just seeing things here. I saw a Thragtusk, a Yeva, a Bonfire, and something else.
We'll see.
All right.
So Ravager of the Fells is going to show up to the party. 2 damage to Costa. Going to put him down at 12. Matt does have an Advent of the Worm in his hand. You see a Forest. You're going to see a Hinterland Harbor. He does pass the turn back. And now it's decision-making time for Rudy as he does cast a Yeva.
Oh, Rewind. Wow. You know what Rudy should have done? Rudy should have done it on Costa's upkeep so he doesn't have the 4th land.
Sure.
Yeah, that actually happened to me in testing, and I was like, oh man, I should have done that.
So, I mean, that's
or something similar, yeah.
Yeah, like he can do that. You know, he can play Yeva on his upkeep, but then what happens if you just get Supreme Verdict?
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Which Costa has 2 copies of in his main deck.
I guess it's a lot easier when you know your the opponent's hand.
Yeah.
I know exactly what they have.
Yeah, our job is easy.
Yeah, it really is.
So he takes the opportunity to rewind and then resolve Advent of the Worm through a counterspell as Rudy's going to attack here with a 4/4 and a 2/2. Has the Wolf Run activation at the ready here to trade with the Advent of the Worm.
But Costa should just still definitely block. Right? I mean, this is good for Costa. Waste Rudy's turn.
Yeah, this is allowing him to basically trade with a resource. Yes, he does lose his Advent of the Worm, but it doesn't allow Rudy to advance the board.
Okay, so it looks like there's a judge question, but I don't even think I would have attacked if I was Rudy. I see a Thragtusk in Rudy's hand, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely a Thragtusk. Maybe it's an Acidic Slime. I'm not sure, but I'm almost certain it's a Thragtusk. Why would you want to risk losing your Huntmaster?
See, I think he has 2 lines of play you can make.
Okay, let me hear.
He's gonna play the land on tap for sure. Take the 2 damage, whatever. I think either you send in with the Wolf token, by itself.
Yeah,
and
only
threaten the active. Well, okay, the wolf run's only going to be for 2, so it actually wouldn't kill it because it's a 5/5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually don't think you send it with anything. I think you just probably just play Thrax and say go.
Yeah, that was kind of. And then he just threw, and it's a what? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now the Huntmaster bites the dust. And then Acidic Slime is going to take care of the white source from Costa. So, I mean, maybe that's what Rudy wants to happen.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, because
I mean, he was tapped out anyway, so he could have just taken care of the white source and passed the turn back.
Yeah, I mean, because we know Costa's going to have an Avenal in there.
Yeah. Now you see Costa's hand. He does have a Hollow Fountain that he's going to play tapped and just say go. So he could have taken 2 there to be able to threaten a Restoration Angel and another Advent of the Worm, but he chose not to. And now here comes your Acidic Slime and your Wolf token.
Yeah, just definitely block the Wolf.
Yeah, so now he's going to block the Wolf token.
Is he just trying to force in damage?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels that way. So now here's a Thragtusk.
Yeah, because Rudy doesn't have to attack just with the Wolf. I mean, he could just attack only with the Acidic Slime instead. So I think that might have been a better line of play.
I mean, curious plays. It looks like he has a strategy of what he wants to accomplish as he draws a card. I'm just not sure if the strategy is correct. Because now here's an Acidic Slime.
It's going to hit that Hallowed Fountain, leaving Costa off white mana.
Restoration Angel here. Here comes the Slime and the Thragtusk.
So I think if I'm Costa here, you probably have to... I don't know. I mean, it looks like Rudy's going to win this game. So whatever we're saying,
he's just... I mean, you can definitely tell that he's fine with the trades and he wants to keep pushing through as much damage as possible because he has a draw that, you know, kind of cuts off Matt's mana, doesn't make it so he can play multiple spells in a turn, set up the things that he was able to set up game 1.
Definitely.
So by throwing away those creatures, it might look pretty curious, but at the same time, look at his board state right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, maybe we were wrong with the Acidic Slimes. We thought they were too slow, but the way the game's playing out, it's working in Rudy's favor. It stops Costa from being able to cast, you know, a massive Sphinx's Revelation and just hedge against something that Costa might bring in, like a Detention Sphere.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Now, I got a question. Rudy brought in the Acidic Slimes. Do you think he's going to bring in the Mimic as well to make copies? Try to do a neat little combo there?
Yeah, there's a one-of Progenitor Mimic. I mean, if he can make it so that Costa has to play on his main phase, on his terms, then I think it's okay.
Okay.
I think it's a lot easier to do when you're on the play instead of being on the draw.
Yeah.
And if Rudy does win this game, he's going to be on the draw for game 3, so it's something to consider.
Definitely. And it's something interesting, too. The way Costa ended up sideboarding, he boarded into Dispels, which would definitely be good against Rudy's Rug Flash deck. But it just worked out that Rudy drew 0 instants this game. All cards that Rudy played were either creatures or sorcery with Farseek. So Costa having 2 dead Dispels stuck in his hand, and I believe another Restoration Angel, which he can't cast because he has no white mana to cast it. Alright, so Costa makes these blocks. Rudy will now get a 3/3 Beast token, and he'll pass the turn. So it looks like Rudy has 2 cards left in his hand. We know one is a Bonfire, and he swings in, bringing Costa down to 3 life.
There's a Farseek.
Farseeks. I guess Farseeking is fine there. I mean, you can also just use the Wolf Run to get Costa even lower.
I think the idea here is, you know, he gets his 6th land. If he draws a 7th one, it can be a Bonfire to finish the game. But, you know, he just goes attack you for lethal.
So you're saying if Costa's at 3 or if Costa's at 1, it's kind of the same thing?
Yeah, and now we see a Wolfare Avenger here.
Wolfare Avenger.
So yeah, we didn't see that in his hand.
Yeah.
So this just basically cleans it up right away, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So Wolfare Avenger, Rudy's going to untap. He's going to draw.
Costa's going to make it play it out.
Yeah.
And we'll be going to a game 3.
Yeah.
All right. So that was kind of interesting. Rudy took definitely a strange line of plays, but he had a plan and he stuck to the plan. So sometimes, you know, if you have a plan, stick to it and it might work out.
Yeah.
And in that case, you just wanted to force through damage, and maybe he tested his matchup, and maybe he knew that, hey, you know, against any deck with Sphinx's Revelations, any deck that's going to play more powerful spells than I'm going to play, I need these Acidic Slimes to stop that from happening.
And maybe, you know, his thought as well is probably where, you know, yes, these trades look bad in the abstract, but I need to get this game over with. The longer this game goes, the worse it is for me.
Definitely.
So, you know, making unfavorable trades is something that I might just have to do to be able to try to win this game. So.
Yeah, because talking to with a lot of players, every time I show them a deck, they say, hey, you know, you are playing this like control type deck, you're playing this blue deck. Why no Sphinx Revelation? What's your reason? not to just play white for Sphinx's Revelation because it is the most powerful spell in Standard right now.
Yep.
It actually made its way into Modern. I see a lot of Modern decks now playing Sphinx's Revelation. Why? Because it's so powerful.
Yeah, it's ruining that format for me as well.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Is Sphinx's Revelation good against your Tron deck?
Not particularly, but I don't get any enjoyment of like playing against Sphinx's Revelation.
Okay.
You know, it's just like frustrating or whatever. Like Karn doesn't care about Sphinx's Revelation because Karn doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
But it's just like kind of annoying.
Does Karn care about Pithy Needle or no?
No.
No?
No, not at all.
Why?
Because the rest of the deck has ways to deal with Pithy Needle.
Okay.
And then Karn takes everything else.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
That's definitely
Karn is not
understandable.
impressed by very many things, my friend.
Okay. All right. So Costa's gonna go to the sideboard. Rudy's gonna do the same thing. Now Costa's gonna be on the play of this game, which is definitely important.
A huge advantage for his deck. His
Yeah.
deck is clearly much better on the play than it is on the draw.
Yeah. Now the whole thing is that when you're playing with Augur of Bolas, all right. I played it with Esper Control. I played it with Briksza. Lots of times in these type of matchups, you almost always board out Augur of Bolas. Do you think that now that Costa is on the play, do you think he's gonna bring back the Augurs? Because I'm pretty sure he boarded them out for game 2.
I think he probably wants to bring him back.
Yeah.
I think so. You know, he only does have 2 copies in his deck, but I think I could see them coming back, especially with the way he probably sideboarded, which is more instants in his deck. I think he just wants. I think he just wants them because they're always going to hit.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts about all these decks now? Because I see a lot of blue and red decks, even this Ban Flash deck, they kind of moved away from 5-mana Jace in their sideboard because that's pretty much been the plan for a while now.
Yeah.
You know, it's been Jace, and then it kind of moved to some of the Legions, but you also see a couple of Jaces. But today, walking around the room, I didn't really see many people with Jace Memory deck.
Well, I think now it's a lot more realistic, to kill people with damage than milling them out. And I truthfully believe that Advent of the Worm changed a lot of things, where before, you know, you played a Jace and there was no real way to kind of snipe it off or pick it off. And the things that you could fight over Jace weren't creature-based. You know, if you tried to kill a Jace by like attacking with it, it wasn't very reasonable in that matchup. I think Advent of the Worm changes that.
Because it's just kind of a one-shot deal, make it 5/5, boom, Jace is gone. Yeah. Even if they were to pump the Jace just goes from 4 to 5.
And then you can just take care of it.
Yeah,
I think there are just better and more clear and clean ways to take care of a Jace now than there were before. So maybe that's why we see the step away from it. Not to say that it won't come back, but where we are right now, I think that's why you see the omission of that card.
Okay, yeah, definitely fair, definitely fair. So as you can see, what we have there in the background, we have kind of the walkway, so lots of players can actually see the feature match from up above.
Yeah, normally we only have that for the Invitational. I was surprised to see that. I don't know if that's going to be a normal thing every show now, or just for this particular one because of the venue.
Oh, okay. Because of tomorrow's draft, and we have to. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, I like it because of tomorrow's team sealed.
Yeah, I'm excited. Team sealed. There's going to be a lot of star-studded teams. One team that a lot of people have been saying, you know, has a big edge is William Jensen, Reed Duke, and Owen. All right, they might be considered the favorite team to win.
I'm taking the field.
You're taking the field?
I'm taking the field.
Yeah, I would take the field as well.
I want the field.
So we'll see what happens. And historically, the East Coast, you know, is known for having really powerful, you know, team drafts, even for the Pro Tours, for the Grand Prix. So we'll see if some of the old school pros will show up. Maybe John Finkel will come tomorrow.
Hey, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I know.
It's not far from him.
Yeah, I heard Chris Bakul is going to come. If you guys are not familiar with him, he's Meddling Mage, not the new Meddling Mage.
He's not the black woman?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He's the one from Apocalypse.
Clarification is key.
Yes, it is.
So I appreciate that.
So,
it's very nice of you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so it looks like Rudy's going to mulligan again. And, you know, maybe they're talking about it. They're like, hey, your deck mulligans a lot, I bet, huh? And Rudy's like, yep, it does. Yeah. How many lands does Rudy have? 3, 6, 8, 12, 16, 20, 21, 22, 25 lands.
25 lands and 4 Farseeks.
Yeah, another land in the sideboard, and he probably has 26 after board, A, because you want lands in the matchup, and B, the 26th land is Cavern of Souls, which is good against Costa's deck.
Sure.
Yeah. So
a spell land is a way to look at that.
Yeah, but so far the decks that I've been most impressed with is this Ban Flash deck.
This is the one. Cool. This is the one to me. Like, this is a deck I would probably like never play.
Oh, really?
Because like I just don't play decks like this very well. Like these like blue flash decks. Like I'm more of an aggressive player, whatever.
Okay.
But like you know, I can certainly look at this deck and realize what its strengths and weaknesses are. And it looks like this deck has a lot of strengths. And you can tell Costa basically built this deck with like Advent of the Worm is an incredibly powerful card. I want to go about building my deck to maximize and abuse it as best I possibly can. And that's what it looks like his deck does.
Yeah, and I guess Leslie Charm is also just an easy addition to the deck as well, especially with cards like Thragtusk, or cards like Angel Serenity, and just getting it down as an early blocker sometimes is pretty nice as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see if Rudy could keep his 6-card hand. It's not as bad for Rudy because he's on the draw now. You know, normally when you're on the play, mulliganing is I mean, every time you mulligan is bad, but sometimes it's, you have to do it.
Yep. And he's going down to 5.
So, when you play at a high-level event, say a Pro Tour, Grand Prix, Star City Open, Star City Invitational, what's going through your mind when your opponent is mulliganing down to 5?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
It doesn't change anything?
No.
Okay.
Like early in my career, it did.
Yeah.
Like mental fist pumps, whatever.
Okay.
But I remember a match that stood out to me very well at the Worlds in Memphis.
Okay.
Where my opponent, Craig Edwards, mulliganed to 4 playing Affinity and killed me on turn 4.
Wow.
So, like...
What deck were you playing?
I was playing the Swans Seismic Assault deck.
I do remember that deck.
Or I guess went 6-0
with Chain of Plasma and the Swan itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was playing that deck, and, like, the matchup was really good for me anyway, and, like, my hand was pretty good, and, like, he just, like, drew like a mediocre 4 and then just drew the perfect card every turn, and like we rebuilt the game and everything, and he's like, I can't believe I won, you didn't do anything wrong, I just drew perfect and won. And I was just like, mentally, when he mulliganed to 4, I was like, okay, this match is over. Like,
yes, yeah, it happens a lot, and that's really good advice, because if you start thinking, yeah, this match is over, you might not take it as serious, you might start daydreaming, you're thinking, oh, what am I going to go eat for lunch, and all of a sudden you lose, and that loss is going to hurt way more when you don't take it serious.
Yeah, I think that Worlds was like in 2007 or 2008.
2008.
Yeah, whenever that Worlds was, it just it changed my outlook on when people mulligan like a lot. Now, like when someone mulligans and they get down on themselves or whatever, and they're like, oh man, mulligan to 5. I just always tell them like, I haven't won yet.
Yeah.
Like just like keep myself focused as well. Like just like because I haven't like. If you mulligan to 5, I don't get the slip immediately. Like we sign it and I just walk away. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Like, you still have to play the game.
And we saw that happen with Tom Martell against Eric Froelich. Tom mulligan up to 5 at the Pro Tour Montreal that he won against Eric Froelich, and he just had the perfect 10 cards. I think the game lasted until turn 5. Martell went through 10 cards in his deck or so, and it was the perfect 10 cards that he needed, and he won.
And he played those 10 cards very well.
Yeah, and he said it in his interview. He said, you know, the old Tom Martell probably would have got down on himself, say, you know, how am I so unlucky? It's top 4, you know, I tried so hard, and now I mulligan to 5 and I'm going to lose, but instead he kept a positive attitude, and he won. So that's our tip of the day.
Yeah, as I often say, you know, that's magic.
That's magic.
Really, you know, that's just magic.
What does it mean, though? What is that magic? That's magic.
I mean, like when people it's the people who kind of like bemoan their luck about mulligan to 5 or you know like getting Manaster or something. It's like that's magic. Like that's part of like what you're signing up for when you play the game.
Yeah.
You know, if you focus on that a lot, you're just never going to become the player that you probably could be. You know, that's just part of the game.
Okay, so I think there's a problem going on here. So they're going to come back to us. I'm not really too sure what happened, but you guys probably want to, you know, see us doing a little dance rather than just watching Rudy Edwards.
Yeah, I got like a nice little haircut. I got a haircut a couple days ago. I got this all lined up and everything. So yeah, you guys can take a good look at the old the chin strap and goatee combo if you want.
Okay, good. All right, so there you see at the bottom of the screen. I'm Gerard Fabiano, and that's Cedric Phillips right there. So if you guys want, you know what? They should follow us on Twitter.
They should.
Because
if you're not, you should.
I got a good reason why.
Okay.
Because, you know, I was home, I got home from work, I went on Twitter, and I saw Cedric Phillips say, hey, he's going to do a stream today, and he was giving away a free trip to Grand Prix Miami.
That did happen.
Yeah, so I was like, oh boy, I want to go play the contest. I didn't win.
You did not win.
Because I didn't play the contest because I was like too lazy, you know, but I was going to play the contest. I wanted to, but I saw it on Twitter, and Grand Prix Miami is coming up. It's the end of June, and, you know, guess who's hosting it? Starts with the S. Yeah, you got it.
Starts with an I guess I shotgun too quickly.
Yeah, you shotgun too quickly.
I was so excited. I was so excited. Sorry.
So Star City Games is hosting Grand Prix Miami come June, and I'm excited for it. I know you're excited for it.
Doing coverage.
All right, awesome.
Myself, Patrick Sullivan, and Osa Bogdanovich are doing coverage that weekend. Just gave away the free flight on Wednesday, was May 1st. I had a contest with the stream team and myself giving away a free flight. We did a raffle. Rich, his Twitter name was @RichJMoney.
Oh, really? Awesome.
He is our victor for the free flight to Miami. So congratulations to him. He'll be at Miami hanging out for free. Took care of his flight for him. So I'm not gonna be able to battle. So if I can't battle, might as well have someone go in my place. So he's going.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome. Giving back to the community, and I'm not even going. I have to work that weekend.
Sorry.
Okay, but I'm super excited for it. I'm going to tune in to the coverage.
Okay.
I'm going to see what the standard format.
Yep.
Who doesn't love standard?
I'm looking. I mean, right now, you know,
everybody at home
Previous
starts like, oh, me, I don't like standard. You're like, okay, well, not you, it's somebody else.
Yeah, previous standard got like kind of stale for me, like during like the beginning and middle a little bit.
Okay.
Because like all the Junk Animator decks, but then I found that Jund deck that I played in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like Thunderbolt Hellkite 9.
You did so good.
Yeah.
I was watching. It was like Cedric made top 4 at the standard one.
Yeah.
And then you got 9th place.
Yeah.
At the legacy
I had a
one.
Sweet weekend.
Yeah.
And I love that Jund deck. I just love playing it online, infinite. And now like we have all these new cards now too, like Advent of the Worm and all this stuff from Dragon's Maze. Standard's good again.
Yeah.
I'm like super excited to like start playing Standard online and start playing it like locally and playing these tournaments. Wednesday. Yeah, it's true.
Wednesday after the downtime. So I have a question. I'm not too. I mean, I play a lot of Magic Online.
Okay.
You know, but is it true that you're gonna have to play with beta?
This is true.
Wait, forever or only for Wednesday till?
I think it's like for 2 days. I think it's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for beta.
Okay.
Or something.
That's
I don't know.
gonna be
You guys
bad.
probably know at home. You can tweet us and
Maybe
let us
not
know.
bad. I don't know if I should say bad.
But you have to use the beta for at least like the first couple of days. So we'll find out about that. If you
Okay,
guys can tweet us.
so we're back.
Yeah, our problem is
Yeah.
fixed.
Yeah, I like the old Magic Online client. I got used to it. That's the whole thing, you know.
Like the super old one.
No, just the one that is now. I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone's used to it. No one likes change drawer.
Sometimes, but ooh, a one-lander. All right.
So we have a Thought Scour here from Matt.
Yeah,
Gonna turn over Reverse Resurgence and a Hollow Fountain in the graveyard. Draws a card. See if he has a third land. All right, there's a.
Yeah, this is not good for Rudy.
That's not a land either.
Yeah, there was a judge question. We know Rudy was going on to 5, so maybe you just have to keep a one-lander.
Yeah.
And
maybe he's wondering how much he can bribe the judge to go back to 6.
Yeah.
Is there a cost?
Ooh.
As Costa draws a Sphinx's Revelation. There's a hidden
Costa
land
has-
Harbor.
yeah, I mean-
so 4 lands is the sweet spot for his deck because that's
Exactly.
where the threats are at in Restoration Angel and Advent of the Worm. You see him cast that right
If you
away.
notice this, Costa is still playing around with Syncopate. So that's really interesting how just one turn could kind of set something up for the rest of the match.
Yeah.
Because Rudy in game 1 paid 2 life to play his Stomping Ground, I think it was.
Yep.
Costa put him on the Syncopate and played around it the entire match, and still playing around it now. So
You know, Costa takes the opportunity to just resolve his threat as he's going to cast a thing twice before Rudy can even have access to 2 mana, which is just smart. Like Rudy can't really do anything about Restoration Angel being in play anyway. He doesn't have very many clean answers to it. So get it in play, don't let it get countered, and just kill him before he undoes his mulligan here. As Costa's going to play a Celestia Charm and get a 2/2 token.
yeah, this is looking really bad for Rudy. It's just too much pressure, and I mean Rudy just had to discard that Garrick right there. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Rug Flash deck, to be honest. If I was going to play a Flash deck that's not blue, white, red, I would want that.
Yeah. You see Costa with the tapped token and the untapped Restoration Angel. Did those backwards. That Restoration Angel
vice
was tapped.
versa there.
There's an Advent of the Worm. There's a 5/5. Costa draws a Temple Garden for the turn. He's going to play that untapped. Here comes your 3/3 and your 5/5. And one thing that this deck can do, now that it couldn't do before, Gerard, is that it just has incredible closing speed.
Yeah, it does. I don't worry. Yep, exactly.
You know, if you kind of fumble around or you stumble, you mulligan a couple times, you know, before it had to, revolve Sphinx Revelation, do this, do that, mill you out in the Fire Drawn Yard, there's a sequence of things that can take place as the opponent where you can maybe come back and maybe draw perfectly. Advent of the Worm says, no sir, I'm closing the door quickly, this game is going to be over fast.
Yep, definitely. And Rudy's kind of just showing his sideboard what he brought in.
Yeah.
You see the Negate there, Dispel, Cavern, the Acidic Slimes. So, I mean, Rudy tried. He took a game that we didn't think he was going to win.
Yeah.
With all those really aggressive attacks. And maybe Rudy knows this match was pretty bad, so that's what he had to do to win a game. But when you mull to 5, and miss the land drops, it's just really tough to ever come back from it.
Yeah. I mean, you take a look at the decks here, and you look at how if you just kind of look at the cards from each deck, you see that. I mean, I think things do favor Costa pretty heavily here.
Okay.
I think Advent of the Worm is just it's a lot for Rudy's deck to beat. I think it's going to be difficult for a lot of decks to beat. Period. And we'll see how people adjust to that in the coming weeks. As we do have another match here for you.
Are we serious with the Angry Birds?
Angry Birds all day, every day.
Number 3.
As we have Richard Wynn on your right. He is going to be playing. Let's take a look here.
What is it? Something spicy?
So this is very similar actually to the deck that I played in Seattle, with a couple of changes. He's cut some cards to add in some 1-ofs. He has a 1-of Master of Cruelty. He only has 3 Bonfire of the Damned, and he has a 1 main deck Undying Evil and 1 Geist Flame.
Okay.
As we are in, I think we're probably in game number 3 here, either game 2 or game 3. We're in game number 3.
Should be game 3. So not too much time left. Looks like under 10 minutes in the match.
Yeah, and he's playing against AJ Kerrigan.
AJ Kerrigan.
Okay.
All right. Author of Thank God It's Friday Night Magic.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Thank God it's FNM.
Yeah. So he's playing Jund. It's not Reduke Jund, it's his own Jund deck.
Kerrigan Jund.
Yeah, Kerrigan Jund. He's playing with Arbor Elf. He's playing with Strangleroot Geist. Maybe a slightly more aggressive version of Jund.
Yeah.
He's got 3 Bonfires, 2 Tragic Slips, 2 Mizium Mortars, 2 Petrifies, a couple of Ground Seals main deck. So just pretty much some cards you would normally see in Jund, some cards not. So we'll see what's going on here. So looking at the board, looking at the life totals, if they're correct, we have to think Rich is a favorite right here.
Yeah, I mean, Richard's definitely ahead as he's going to cast a Borderland Ranger here. It looks like he's going to search out a land. Richard's definitely ahead right now. AJ just basically trying to stabilize as he's going to untap his lands and try to come back from this situation.
All right, so he's looking through his deck a while. Does he not have one?
There's another basic in there.
Well, he passed the forest there. I
Right,
guess he was looking for the swamp, yeah.
You see his basic on, he has 3 forest, 2 mountain, and a swamp.
Yeah, so you see Rich shuffle up. And he is going to present his deck. Oh, looks like he didn't present his deck. Maybe we should call a judge on that?
Yeah, definitely has to present his deck to be shuffled.
Especially after you search your deck for a basic land.
Yeah.
You know, that would avoid any possible, unfair play, so to speak. So we'll see if a judge gets called there. Okay, so it looks like, and then AJ
so we got that taken care of.
Yeah. Normally when you shuffle your deck, you always want to present it to your opponent. Just follow the rules there.
So AJ he untaps, he drew his card, he passed back. Richard draws a card.
So
it's a mountain. Plays his mountain. Does not play the swamp that he searched for.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Why would you now? By that, Rich is just showing more information to AJ. Yeah, nothing major, but if you want to try to be on top of the game, you gotta see what happens. There's a Putrefy targeting the Flithoof board.
Yep.
And let's see what happens. So AJ with 2 mana open, maybe representing like something like an Abrupt Decay.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay, Tragic Slip.
Yeah.
Searing Spear. I mean, a lot of different things that the Jund deck can represent.
Definitely.
Here.
And
it is going to be a Tragic Slip.
Okay.
So both creatures are dead. Here's a Gorkland Rampager. And follow that up with... Okay, so he's just adjusting his mana and then passes the turn back.
Okay, so AJ's going to untap. And AJ's probably looking for something like a Thragtusk here would be really nice. Oh, I see an Olivia in his hand.
Yeah, and Strangleroot Geist has the draw. Also has a Hot Match that falls in his hand as well. Clearly just bottlenecked on mana right now, but again, it's difficult for Jund to be able to play 2 spells in 1 turn, until you get to that sweet spot of 7 or 8 mana. And then that's kind of when the deck goes into overdrive. But right now, we just see Kerrigan play a Hunt Master that Fells, a Wolf Token, and gain 2 life.
All right, so AJ might think, hey, Hunt Master's pretty good here, but we know that Rich, his card in his hand is Swamp, but his other card is Bonfire of the Damned.
Yep.
So we'll see what Rich draws here.
Draws a card. It is a Gyre Sage.
Gyre Sage, not really doing too much. I mean, it is nice because of Wolf Run, so any creature is a threat, especially with that many lands in play.
Yep.
But I think Rich wants to 2, 4, 6 Bonfire for 3 here. Bonfire for 2.
I mean, he can just go Bonfire for 2, play the Sage, attack for 4, pass it back.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Okay.
It does open you up to getting Bonfired yourself off the top from AJ.
Sure.
But I mean, Bonfire off the top is going to be good for him anyway, so you just kind of want to fade it as best you can. And there are 3 copies of it in his deck list.
Yeah. So we'll see what Rich is thinking about here. So they're closing in on 5 minutes now. I don't think time's going to be an issue unless AJ starts to draw a couple of Thragtusks and the game gets drawn out, board gets clogged up. But as of now, it looks like Rich is probably still in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he decides to do. He's taking a while on his turn here. He's reaching for some lands. Would you ever consider just attacking first with the Gorkland Rampager?
No, I don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to block at all.
Well, I mean,
honestly.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. If he does double block, Rich gets hit for 5 damage.
Yeah.
So now AJ's on 6, but the threat of another Hunt Master gaining life or Thragtusk. I think Bonfire for 2 is definitely the play.
I want to be able to play I want to be able to play both spells this turn.
Yeah.
I don't think that 1 point of damage is as important as getting another creature on the board right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure why he goes for a Bonfire for 3.
But 3 is going to clear this up. It's going to allow him to attack here. It's going to put AJ down to 8 in this attack and put him down to 4. You know, the difficult thing here is, you know, let's say that AJ has a tragic slip there.
Yeah.
Then you're behind on the board. AJ can play Olivia Voldaren on his turn, and then he's feeling really good about it. So.
Exactly.
So there's a
forest. I think that's what AJ just drew this turn. I'm pretty sure AJ has no outs here. I mean, he could play Olivia, shoot. They'll still trample over for too much. Yeah, I think he just kind of gave the nod, like, okay, you got me.
Yeah, it might be coming to the realization that, yeah, his outs are limited right now. I don't think, you know, with the cards that he has in his hand, he's going to be able to get it done. You see him kind of nodding a little bit unhappy about the situation, and he does extend the hand. So Richard Wynn is going to win the match 2-1 over AJ Kerrigan. Jund aggro defeats Jund mid-range here in our second feature match during round 3.